Hi and hello watch fans, and welcome to another edition of The Real Time Show with me, your friendly neighbourhood watchmaker Rob Nuds, talking to you from the Villa Sarasan in Geneva for the Time to Watches event 2025. Today I'm joined by Natalie from Pointtec, Bauhaus and Zeppelin. Now that's pretty unusual, 3 brands in one. Explain that to me.
Yeah, it's 3 brands. So we started with the development of the brand Zeppelin in 2002. And then in 2019, we took over a production facility, which is based in Rula. It's a village in the eastern part of Germany. And actually the building in which the watches are manufactured, it's a Bauhaus building that was constructed or that was designed from 2 Bauhaus architects. And then at that time, or actually 1 year later, we came up with the brand Bauhaus. So we started to develop a lot of watches under the brand Bauhaus. And then, last year we added the brand Rula. So that's how we ended up with 3 brands.
Okay. So they're all run by the same management team behind the scenes?
Yeah, right. So we are a family business. Our headquarters is in Munich and our production facility is in Rula. And also the after-sales service is also in Rula.
So what's the idea behind having 3 brands? Is it because you wanted to tell 3 different types of stories, or is it because you want to hit 3 different price points or 3 different demographics? Explain that to me.
Basically, it's the design. So each brand has an own design. Zeppelin is based on the idea of the airships, or of the era of the airships, actually. So you have a lot of details in the watches that remind on this history. Like, for example, we have a series, the 100 Years series. It has a very special and unique construction of the watch case. You have rings on the side of the case, which remind on the structure or actually on the shape of the Zeppelin airship. And then for Bauhaus, it shall remind on the Bauhaus design school in Dessau. And so it's a very classical design, classical and functional design with the concept form follows function. And then for Rula, a lot of people asked us or that still knew the brand or the name Rula. So they asked us, hey, will you produce some watches under the brand Rula? And there was a lot of interest in this brand. So that's why we decided to develop this brand as well.
And what are the price points of the 3 brands?
The price points are pretty similar for all the brands. So our core price range is in between 300 to 600 euro. And then we have some talking pieces on top of it.
So talk to me about the movements themselves that you use in these watches.
Yeah, so in the entry price level, we're using Swiss movements from Ronda for the quartz watches and Miyota, so Japanese movements also for quartz watches and for the automatic watches in an entry price level. And then we start at 599 euro retail with the 3-hand automatic movement from Celita. And then, also we offer regulateur movement also from Celita, as well as same for the automatic chronograph.
Sorry, what was the price for the Celita entry level?
599.
All right, I did hear you correctly. That's,
you did.
That's pretty good. Okay, very interesting. So what about novelties for this fair? What are you showing here at Time to Watches that's new?
Actually, we have a lot of novelties for this year. So in Zeppelin, we have some new models in the series Captain's Line. We have a new color, which is called ultramarine. It's a very deep, dark blue color. And this deepness of the color comes through because you use many layers of lacquer. And then, you get this color, which almost looks a little bit purple in a way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Continue, please.
Yeah. And so we have many more novelties. So this year we also added some skeleton watches in the brand Zeppelin, which was still missing in our portfolio. So now we have this as well. And then we also developed some automatic watches, which are like rather basic, simple, with a simple design, and with a 40 millimeter watch case diameter. So actually, we have the feeling that younger people prefer this kind of style. And also the price is at €279 retail, which is, I think, pretty interesting for many people.
So you mentioned that you are obviously focused on certain demographics with your products. You're designing watches for particular target groups. What does the normal customer for these three brands look like? Because I'm guessing that each brand is pitched in a slightly different tone.
Yeah, still basically, I would say our main customer is between 30 and 60 years old.
Well, that's a pretty broad age range. It's pretty much an adult.
It is. You're right.
We all say the same thing. I'm not just putting it on you, but I do the same thing with my brand. Yeah, men over 25 to 65. It's like, okay, so everyone. Yeah,
everyone.
Yeah.
But this is also, our philosophy. So our target is really to produce high quality watches at a quite reasonable price point for the end consumer. So this is the base, and that's why all of these brands follow this philosophy.
So this is a family business.
Yes. 23
years in activity.
Quite more years.
Okay, so Zeppelin started in 2002.
Yeah.
But there was family business in the watch industry before that.
That's right.
Okay, so explain that background to me. And how do you fit into it?
Yeah, so the company was founded in 1987.
Okay.
So there was already a history. We started with Pointec, actually. So Pointec is the name of the company.
Okay.
And these were the first watches. And in the year 2002, Pilot watches got more
mainstream, I guess.
Yeah, more mainstream, and there was more interest in these kind of watch styles. And at that time, Pilot watches came up, so we started with Zeppelin. And as you see, all of the brands have a German history, and behind the brands, so this was the first brand that fit the philosophy in a way. So the German watch brand with the German history, and all the watches are made in Germany. Also, at that time, the watches were made in Germany, so it was a nice fit. And as I said, Ruler and Bauhaus came later on when we took over the other company, which is the production facility now. So now we have our own staff assembling the watches over there.
Okay, and you are the inheritor of the company?
Yeah, so yes, I'm also part of the family, and I'm the second generation, so I'm managing director of this company.
Nice.
Since a few years, actually.
It's quite a lot of responsibility. Managing one company is hard enough, but I suppose it's one company, but I mean, that's a lot of things to keep track of, having all those different brands operating. And where do these brands operate primarily? What's the best market for you in the world? Is it mostly Germany, Austria, Switzerland, or further afield?
Yeah, the best market is Germany, still Germany. But over the last years, we got a lot of more partners in several other countries as well. So our main market is Europe, actually whole Europe by now. So we basically have a distribution all over Europe. And now it's the goal also to go even further and develop some more markets for all the brands. That's also why we're here, to get some more international traffic and customers.
So I was curious about that. This is a great event for meeting people in the industry, maybe less so people outside of it, but some really heavy-hitting collectors are going to be here as well. But your focus has been to create connections with a view on a global expansion.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah.
That's right.
And has it been successful?
Yeah, so there are a lot of, watch enthusiasts around. This is really nice because the fair is, has a really open space for basically customers or potential customers, for the press, and also some retailers and distribution partners. So it's a really nice mix of all kinds.
I'm guessing, having grown up in the industry, you are also a watch person, a watch lover.
Yeah, sure.
Are you a collector?
Yeah, kind of, but more watches from the own brand.
Yeah. Do you have any watches from any other brands?
Right now I have watches from the own brands.
Okay. Do you cover any watches from the other brands?
Yeah, I like also the watches from other brands for sure.
This is so diplomatic. I'm really trying to squeeze a name out of you here, and you're just like, no, not budging at all. Come on, give me something to work with. I want to understand your vision of like what is good watchmaking as from your perspective. I know that like when you've got the reins of a brand, it's a different kettle of fish because you have to, identify what's good for that brand rather than what is the perfect watch for me personally. But for you personally, what do you look at outside of your own industry, your own specific company, and say, that's pretty cool?
Yeah, so actually I really for sure we design our own individual design. And that's quite important also to me to have an individual design for you and to have your story, to have your brand, and for sure you stand behind your brand.
Okay.
So and I'm passionate about this, and but
So-
still you can get inspired from other brands as well.
Like who, for example, would inspire you? Come on, give me one name. This is the real time show. We don't do nonsense here. You're extremely well trained. I can't believe it. Like a stone wall. It's incredible. You're not going to do it, are you?
Yeah. There are some, like for sure, like Cartier, like Patek Philippe. So it's there are a lot of nice watches around in the industry.
Thank you for humoring me with Cartier and Patek Philippe. I agree, they're pretty good brands. Yeah, I like them very much. So tell me, which watch do you actually wear from your own collections?
I wear a new design from this year. So it's a ladies' watch. So mainly we are focused on men's watches. Still, we have some ladies' watches in the assortment. This is the series Friedrichshafen. And we have a really nice embossing on the dial and also diamantation around the opening for the balance wheel. And also here you see the really nice shape on the watch case, which is which reminds on the Zeppelin airship.
Oh, I see. Oh, that is nice.
Yes.
And on a burgundy croc leather strap.
Yeah, right.
Very smart. Nice pink center dial as well.
Thank you. Yeah, it's more colorful.
I'm actually very much looking forward to coming to check out your brands because you're downstairs in the basement, and I've been laser focused on the right-hand side of the basement because I've been working a bit with Denison this week. So I'm always running in and out of that room, and I've just neglected to come and see your watches. But of course I know about Zeppelin, and I really am keen to learn about the other brands as well. So thank you, Natalie, for your time. I really appreciate you sitting down and talking with me, and having to explain 3 brands is 3 times harder than anyone else has had it. So yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Count on you that you come to us.
I will. I'll be
basement.
I'll come to the basement right now. We've got 10 minutes. All right, we'll go right now.
All right.
Thanks, Nat.
Thanks.
Zeppelin was a bit of a revelation for me. Now, it was a bumper interview because the incredible managing director of Pointtech, Natalie Burke, did not just come along to present me with one watch brand, rather with 4. Pointtech is one of those companies, a little bit like CDM-Lec, owned by our good friend Tom van Willig, that has multiple names within its portfolio. So, Pointtech makes the watch brands Zeppelin, which you're most likely to have heard of, Ruler, R-U-H-L-A, Bauhaus, and that is a brand just called Bauhaus, okay, and finally Iron Annie, and that is I-R-O-N space A-N-N-I-E. So, different levels, different price points, same company, same quality, same know-how, same heritage. A lot to like about this because, quite frankly, the prices for the designs are superb. Although there were 1 or 2 Zeppelins that really stood out to me, the watch that stole my heart was from Ruler, and that is the Solar watch, available with multiple different dial colors, and it's around €379. There's a couple of different variations that might be slightly different prices. It's powered by the Japanese solar movement, the Seiko VS55, and it's a top little PRX-esque looking thing, but it's actually, I think it's nicer than the PRX. I think the bracelet is much better. Alon, have you ever seen this model that I'm discussing right now? The Ruler Space Control men's solar watch with date and integrated metal strap.
The funny thing is Pointec, I've encountered for the first time ever at Inhorigenta Fair in Munich, version Ego, not the current one. Now, I've once encountered Bauhaus, got triggered because we know how much you and I love Bauhaus and Nomos. So for me, everything watchmaking and Bauhaus is Nomos. But Pointec makes watches at a lower entry price point. And I got drawn into that at the fair, and then I saw indeed that they make other brands. Yes, Rob, well chosen. I found it overwhelming how much they create. A, spread over 4 brands, and B, at the quality they supplied with these prices. So they are German, if I'm not mistaken, Rob. Is everything produced in Germany, part of it, Asia? Tell me more.
Well, some work is done in Germany, obviously, and I think that varies across the brands. There's obviously a lot of Asian import, especially when it comes to the movements of some of these pieces, because, as I mentioned, the Space Control, which is the model name of the piece that I'm really into, is powered by a Japanese quartz. So I would guess for the lower end stuff that the vast majority is Asian made, imported, checked, finished, and maybe assembled in Germany. And then for the higher end stuff, probably bits and bobs done in Pforzheim or something along those lines, like dials, perhaps. I mean, that's the thing that adds the value to a watch, right? I mean, a lot of major Swiss brands, like mainstream brands who wouldn't want us to mention their names on air, actually have their cases, their raw cases manufactured in Asia, and then they finish them in Switzerland, albeit to incredibly high standards. Like, it's not to be sniffed at, that strategy. They call it in the industry Swiss-ish, and what it means is Asian-made case, swish finishing by the Swiss. But the Swiss finishing standards are incredibly high. That's not smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of nonsense that you'll be fed on your journey to buy a luxury watch. But the real artisans that really do it by hand, they are superb. Are they better than their Chinese counterparts? I would say perhaps the QC standards are a little higher in Europe, yes. So I do think that is the case. I think Japanese, maybe with the Salaz polishing or Zaratsu polishing that you'll find on Grand Seiko or Minase, for example, that's next level. That's Swiss standard. That's right up there. Oh, well, that's Japanese standard. That's its own thing. They are on a par with one another. And so if you do pursue this strategy, if a brand does pursue this strategy, and we know lots of great modern independents that have gone down this route because it makes sense, having your raw cases manufactured in Asia and having them finished in Europe, then you're going to get a good quality product for a much better price than you would expect, especially when you don't have that extra brand tax coming in there over the top and pushing these prices up into the 4 figures for a watch like the Space Control, which is very aggressively and competitively priced at $379.
And while you're chatting, I'm surfing the web and their websites. And what I found confusing at the fair also, that it was all intertwined, but the Zeppelin brand is hosted on pointec.de. But if you go to the other brands, Rula has its own URL. So I never understood if Pointec, like CDM-LEC, which is actually a very good example to compare, which you did, is Tom does that well. He literally gives its brand its own platform, its own universe. Whereas here, they mix it because Iron Annie is hosted on Pointec again. And Bauhaus has its own URL again. So when you had the meeting, did you just talk about Zeppelin? Did you mix all the brands? Do they let their retailers order all 4 brands, or are you dealer per brand? How do they work?
So we mostly talked about Zeppelin during the meeting, and after the meeting, I was so taken by the watches and our conversation that I went to see the display in Villa Saracen. It was downstairs, right at the back, and I encountered Ruler there in person, and that really piqued my interest. I believe they operate exactly as CDM like would. If you are the carrier of one brand, you are open to carry all of them. I don't think there's anyone strong arming you to take all 4 or 3 or 2 of them. You can probably have them, and you probably would want to be honest, because working with one company for 4 brands like this is much more straightforward than working with 4 different brands for 4 different brands. So I think that's an advantage for companies that do it like this. I mean, we've seen it before, like Guillaume Ledet, of course, of Nevada Grenchen and his other brands, Space One, Excelsior Park, Volcane, etc., etc. He is a good touch point, like someone that can be trusted as the de facto head of all of those brands, or at least like the visible leader of that movement, that micro movement. And I think that this is exactly the same thing. So, I mean, if you're interested in retailing any of them, Alan, I'm sure we could get all 4 in your cases.
This sparks my interest in the sense of what consumers think of this. So I want to ask you, dear listener, do you like the fact that one group, producer, manufacturer, entrepreneur has more brands and intertwines them as much as Pointec, for example, does, and a certain extent CDM does? But you've raised Guillaume Ledet, aka Sexy Boy. He doesn't do this. So I wonder, what do you think about this, dear collector and listener? Do you like it? Don't you like it? Please share your opinions in the TRTS community. If you are not a part of the community, send us a message and we'll add you. If you don't want to be added, no problem. Send us an email. I'm very curious what you think about this.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the feedback from this episode, because it's a really good point. To me, it feels very natural for a guy like Guillaume doing many different things to have many different brands and not link them, as it does for Pointec to have 4 relatively similar price pointed models, brands, and align them and cross-pollinate as if they were one collection but with distinct characteristics. Maybe CDM is the outlier here, because it's somewhere in between the two, because Le Bois & Co. and Eran are both established brands in their own right, I would say, and that connection is perhaps more uncomfortable, or maybe it's very comfortable to have 2 prestigious brands linked together right there and then. So let us know what you think. It's an interesting discussion that we've never had before, and they are always the best ones.